Hey friends, so welcome to DBC Inc. Live. We have a book birthday today. Super excited to have Dan Tricarico in the house. Dan, welcome.
Welcome to you
Yes,
too. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This has been such a crazy day.
It's been such a fun day.
Oh,
It's such a
absolutely.
great
Absolutely.
book launch. We have a brand new book. You know, Dan, he's written some books with us already. I did read from StreamYard. They sent me a message that Facebook comments are not working. So if you are
Oh,
not able to see your comments or you're not able to comment, no worries. We still love you. You can listen to us. But if you hop over to YouTube, which is DBC Inc. Media, you can comment there and we can flash those up on the screen. So it's DBC Inc. Media. I can drop that over in the comments, assuming mine work.
I didn't know we were
Just
going to
so
be
you
on
can have
YouTube
them. But
also.
Dan,
Holy
while
cow.
I'm doing that, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself? And then we're going to
Okay.
talk about this brand new book that we have.
Yeah, well, my name's Dan Tricarico, and I have spent the last 31 years as a high school English teacher in San Diego, California. I've loved every minute of it. I've been in the same school for all 30 years. I've been in the same classroom for all 30 years, which is super rare, but I'm super proud of that. And just love my school. It's West Hills High School out in a city called Santee, which is also the city I grew up in. And I would have gone to that school if it had been a school. It was just a big vacant lot when I went to high school. So I tell my students that instead of getting to spend 4 years there, I got to spend 30. So that's a win for me.
So awesome. So awesome. Well, we do have a few jumping over into
Hey, Melody's here.
Melody. Welcome, Melody, over into YouTube so they can drop some comments over there. And I did drop that YouTube link too. I'm not sure why StreamYard is having some issues with their Facebook comments, but they did say that they were working on it. So, you know what? We're going to roll with it. There is so many ways to communicate anymore, and I love that. So
Absolutely.
Dan, we know that you're just an incredible writer. We've so
Thank you.
enjoyed publishing a couple of your projects, the Zen Teacher, Sanctuaries, and now we have Right Here and Now. And I am so excited about this book, particularly because it's a topic that I can relate to on every level. It's definitely what I do right now. I'm not necessarily teaching writing, but
Mhm.
in a way, I coach writers. So it's
Sure.
so much fun to dive into this one. And I love
Mhm.
the idea of just the Zen and the pen, right?
Yes.
It definitely is near and dear to my heart. I journal
Oh.
every single day. When I don't journal, the world is upset with me because
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not near as nice of a person when I cannot get all those thoughts out and clear up my mind a little bit. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to write right here and now. And
Mhm.
then we'll dive into a little bit about what we're hoping the readers really gain from this book.
Sure. Yeah, I had a couple ideas going into this. Is one, like I said, I've been teaching writing for 30 years, and you learn a few things. And I've always loved writing, and so I thought, well, I'll write some things down. And so the first thing was to share some lessons that I've learned teaching writing. The second thing, as you mentioned, is I'm very much into things like mindfulness, and I thought, oh, I don't think anything has really been done about teaching writing through mindfulness. So I thought, well, I can do that. And then I thought, well, you know what? It's crazy that a lot of writing teachers I know don't write. And I think, well, that's kind of strange. So I thought, well, I'll talk about how they can write. And then I thought, well, I want to include some stories about my own writing journey. And like it just, but I should probably mention that most of this book was written, like in lockdown over the pandemic. So, what else was I going to do? Right. But I thought, that's through the whole thing. I was like, oh, Danny, you got to focus, man. This has to be about one thing. And I thought, no, this book is, very important to me and very special to me. I just want to say what I want to say. And thanks to the DBC editors, they helped sculpt it. And they said that I said, that's a lot of plates to spin, but they said, that it seems to work. So, and I thought like the Zen in the pen expression was a little hokey, but everybody's saying that they like it. So I'm
Yeah,
glad it's
Melody
there.
is too. She says it's
Oh,
clever.
thank you. Thank you, Melody.
It is. It's so I love this book because haven't got to read it yet. And full disclosure, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, and I'm
That's
super
fine.
super excited to get my own
I have
copy.
stacks of books I haven't read, so
I
it's
ordered
okay.
my copy today. I want to read this one cover to cover. I'm really excited about it, and I do read most of the DBC books, but this one I just feel like I'm going to be able to relate to it on a lot of levels.
Well,
So
Tara, in the first couple pages, I say that I'm the same way, that if I don't write, I get cranky and I feel off. It's a compulsion for me.
it
I
is.
have to write.
It's
So
there's a few things that really have to be in place. I have to be fed. I have to write, and I need to work out, like those things. And
oh,
when
you had me right up till the end there, Tara.
if all three of them are not in
Yeah.
place, well, bless your heart, because it's going to be rough.
It's going to be right. It's going to be bumpy. Yep.
A bumpy
Yep.
ride. Yes, mine too, Melody. Mine comes in Saturday too, and I'll
Oh,
be
thank
back
you,
in
Melody.
town on Saturday.
A lot
So
of people
I'm
are
here
saying
today,
that
and I'll be back Saturday.
that is so awesome. A lot of people I've seen have said that they've ordered it, and I really appreciate that. And the support I get from DBC and from the people who've read the other books is like, just humbles me, just leaves me speechless. And the
Well,
friends I tried to mention them all in the acknowledgments page, and it like just got giant. And but there's so many people to thank and be grateful for.
it's so true. And you talked a little bit about our editing team a minute
Mhm.
ago, just being able to sculpt and get everything together. And I feel
Mhm.
like the editing team is they're just so good. They're so
Yeah.
dynamic. And it doesn't really matter what you throw at them. They have a way of
Mhm.
being able to wrap their head around it and make it into this beautiful project. So
Yep.
I'm curious, with Right Here, Right Now, you explained why you decided to write this book, what you're hoping would be
Mhm.
in it. What was your favorite piece about writing this one? You've written a couple of books now. This
Mhm.
is your third one with us.
Yeah.
What was just the piece that you're like most proud of?
I'm going to try not to get choked up here. Okay. What I've been telling people, which is 100% true, is the Zen teacher and sanctuaries are very close to my heart. And those ideas were very special to me. But 30 years of lessons about teaching writing and stories from my own writing journey, this book is my heart.
Oh.
And this, I poured everything into this. This is me. And so, so if you hate it, that's okay too. But this is where I said, like I said, I in this book, I said what I wanted to say about how we should approach teaching writing, about how you can de-stress if you want to be a writer. Because I know a lot of people who say they want to write, but then they're intimidated, they're freaked out, they think it has to be perfect. That's all. I'm thinking of another word I can't say. That's all baloney, right? If you want to write, I tell everybody, if you want to write, start writing. If you don't enjoy writing, stop. Life is too short to do things that you're miserable about. Thank you. I think authenticity is super important, and I try very hard in the books too. I'm always so complimented when people say it sounded like you were just talking to me, and I work very hard for that style and that tone. But that's what I'm shooting for. So it's always nice to hear that. But yeah, I just wanted to share what I've learned, and I wanted to share what I think. And Dave was kind enough to reach out and left me a nice message earlier today, and I told him that I just am so grateful for the path that DBC's put me on, and being able to share these ideas, and what a legacy to have 3 books on the shelf that share your philosophy and your thoughts, and people are reading and responding to them. I mean, that's an invaluable gift, hard to put into words, even
True.
for a writer.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And you do such an amazing job. I feel like, well, you're just so calming.
Oh, well,
That's always helpful. And it
that
feels
helps
like
if you're the Zen teacher, right? Yeah.
well, I couldn't write the Zen teacher. Nobody would believe it.
Well, keep in mind, I always tell everybody I wrote it for me, man. My family members are like, he wrote what? Because they know how wound up I can get, but that's why I did it. It was because I needed something to calm myself down, to remind myself of the strategies that work, and to have that literally to have that book on the shelf to flip through and say, oh, I'm forgetting about silence, or I'm forgetting about stillness. I need to do that again. And now ideas about writing that I can go back to and say, oh, that's right. You can focus on that and get that new piece out if you want, and it'll be a nice handbook for me, but hopefully for other people too.
It's so true. And I feel like a lot of our work, a lot of people that put our work out into the world, that's what we do. We write it because we need it, right?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of times that's it, or we learned it. We
Mhm.
want to share it out with the world. And I like what you said earlier when you said it's my heart,
It's my heart.
and I feel
Yeah.
super passionate about this. I don't know
Mhm.
how the world's going to receive it, but
Right.
that's what I feel.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
we don't get to control. And I was saying this
No.
in my Instagram story. When I was sharing a story with a friend, and I was really expecting them to have the same kind of feelings I was having about
Yeah.
it. I was so passionate about this thing that I was proud of, and they weren't at all interested. Like, they just
Mhm.
weren't even interested.
Mhm.
And you know what? I took at first I was so disappointed, but immediately I thought, I shouldn't place those kind of expectations on people. First of all, they haven't done the work to complete this project.
Right.
I'm passionate about it. It has my heart in it. It has my
Yes.
blood, sweat, tears. Of
Yep.
course, I'm proud of it. And they haven't experienced any of that. They just see the finished
Mhm.
product. And I think there's so often in life, we put something out there and it hits people at different times in their
Yes.
journey too.
Yes.
And we just don't place expectations on them. We just, here it is, world. If however you
Right.
choose to receive it, great. But I'm telling you right now, this is my heart. It is a
Yes.
great message. You need to hear it. You might want to hear it one day, or somebody could possibly use it. But I think with right here and right now, I think it's a book that even if you don't teach writing,
Mhm.
it might help you to better understand writers or
Mhm.
better understand students that are learning writing, right?
Exactly.
And give you a new perspective on how it could be beneficial to you. But I also appreciated, Dan, what you said when you said, if you don't like writing, just don't do it. There's so many
Yeah.
other ways to
Yeah.
communicate.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think everything you're saying is true. But I think one thing that you mentioned that I really want to go back to is to say that when whoever you are, whatever your message, whatever your mode of communication, podcast, blog, whatever you do, somebody's going to respond positively,
Mhm.
and you have to focus on that. And I can't remember who said this. I want to say it was Seth Godin, but he said that a good response is to tell the person, "Thank you for letting me know this isn't for you."
Yeah.
And I love that
Yeah.
because it lets everybody off the hook to have the reaction they're going to have, and you don't have to be offended by the reaction if it's not for them, because it's going to be for somebody. And yeah, this I the part of the intimidating thing for me with this book is to write a book about writing, how to write. It's like there's On Writing by Stephen King. There's Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. There's Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg. Nothing good out there, right? It took a certain amount of hubris and ego to think that I had something to say about this. But I felt that the 30 years of teaching writing gave me a little bit of ethos, a little bit of credibility.
Sure.
Having a couple other books published helped. So thanks to DBC again, having lots of poems published, being a journalist really, I think, gave me a lot of confidence, because that's just about getting the work done. you
Mhm.
know in fact, I'll tell you real quickly, one of the things that I think is going to surprise people, and it's a little subversive and people are going to be a little contentious about it, is there's a chapter on writer's block that talks about is how writer's block is not real. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. Like
Well,
I'm not the first person to say this, but plumbers don't get plumber's block, right?
right.
And it comes back to my journalism background. If the editor said, I need that piece on my desk at 11 a.m., it was on the desk at 11 a.m. It might be
Something was
crap, but
there.
something was on the desk. Exactly. So I talk about how when you're stuck, if plumbers get stuck, they either go through or around, and plumbers, mechanics, would pick the job of your choice, teachers, right? I don't go into my class and go, I'm not feeling it today.
It's just rock.
Yeah, I'm just stuck. I can't go, you don't get to do that. So
Mhm.
I don't see any reason why you should get to do that in writing either. You write through it, you write around it, but you keep writing and then you'll get through it. You're going to write a bunch of crap. You're going to have to throw a bunch of stuff away, but that's just part of the process. But yeah, writer's block is not real.
I love it. I love it. And I feel like a lot of people definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
I have. I've talked about that too when I was
Yep.
writing my book. But like you said, you eventually you just write. And it
Just
may
write.
not be your best piece, but
Nope.
you come back and edit it. And that's why we have
You can
editors.
go back and edit it. Yeah.
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 But you keep writing because you can get, like you said, you just write through it.
You write through it.
Get
You get
something
to the
done.
good stuff. You're
Exactly.
mining, I think is one way to look at it. Is, remember the old Westerns where the guys would take the pan and swish a lot of it's dirt,
Mhm.
but you had to go through that to get to the gold. Hey, I'm a writer using metaphors. Look at that. That's
Look at
crazy.
what? Can't believe you on a
Can't
live
even
show.
believe it.
I
Yeah.
wish I was seeing all the Facebook comments. I hate that we're not seeing them. I'm sure they're
I'm
amazing.
just talking to you. I can't see.
But it's been
Can't see anything.
perfect, and we have a lot of people viewing in here. We
Oh,
do
good.
have Melody in the YouTube. Remember, if you do want to drop a comment, you can jump over to our YouTube. It's DBC Inc. Media. If you have some
I'll
questions
get
for
back and
Jen,
check those later. I
you
appreciate
can.
whoever's here.
Yeah, we appreciate you all being here for sure. And StreamYard is having a little issues with their Facebook comments, but they let us know that. But we didn't want to miss out on this opportunity, so we jumped in anyway. So you told us a little bit about what you're proud of. You also told us a little bit of a surprise to look for. And I'm curious what, some people might ask, who is this book really for? So
Yeah.
who do you think is the audience,
Mhm. I think there are a couple options. I mean, first and foremost, of course, it is for anybody who teaches writing.
Mhm.
But I really, really want to make it clear that it's not just for people who teach writing, and it's not even just for teachers. Anybody who wants to pick up a pen, anybody who wants to start to tap a keyboard can find something in here to like. And I tell my students, you cannot say that a piece of writing is for everybody because it's not. There, like you're saying, there's a certain audience that you're intended for. So I feel like I'm going against that a little bit. But, one of the stories I tell in there is how if wanted to hire a violin teacher for your child and you interviewed a bunch of violin teachers and then you said, oh, you're great, I'm going to hire you, can you play something for me? And the violin teacher said, oh, I don't play, I just teach it. You'd look for another violin teacher. And yet so many writing teachers don't write, and I don't get that at all. It doesn't make sense. So if anybody is thinking about doing it or wants to write, this book will help you do it without feeling stressed out, without being intimidated. It gives you permission to write junk, gives you permission to throw stuff away. All the things that I wish, and it's like every book, authors say this, but it's like everything I wish I'd been told 30 years ago about my writing, and the things that I've learned.
And
So it's,
yeah,
so it's for
exactly.
everyone, I guess.
It
Even though
is, it is. And
I said don't say that, but but if you're
Right.
thinking about writing, you can get something out of this book.
For sure. And I think that's just a great way to put it because I was just thinking about future authors. People are always talking to me like, Tara, how do we pitch a book to DBC Inc.? I want to share what I'm doing in my classroom or share what I'm doing in my world. So maybe you don't teach writing, but you really want to write a book. This could be the book to read to get you started because it breaks it down, it gives you, like you said, it makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable. It
That's
makes
the hope.
it the place where you feel comfortable to share your thoughts. And that's what we want for our students. And that's also what we want for our writers in a publishing company. We want you to feel comfortable sharing your thoughts. And then we have editors, we have peer readers, we have teachers, we have a lot of people that can help us to shape that writing later. But getting it out there, being able to share your thoughts in an authentic way to where you can actually reach the audience. And this book is for you. And I feel like the strategy is so give us a little idea on the layout of the book.
Oh,
I know
sure.
it already, but I don't want to share it. So
And can I preach a little bit while I do that?
of course.
Okay, thank you. I thought it would make some sense to organize this book kind of loosely around the steps in the writing process. So there's planning, composing, peer review, revision, and final draft. Interspersed among those are little diary entries by me about moments in my own writing journey. Like the first time that I remember writing a poem was to the girl I had a crush on in 4th grade, when I wrote for the local mall's newspaper and did movie reviews, just all these little things in my own writing journey. And so those obviously are very special to me. And that was more narrative, which was nice because I got to tell a little story. But so those are kind of parceled throughout. And I thought, well, if DBC accepts this book, that we'll just take those out. There'll be enough just with the lessons and the tools and the strategies. But I liked them. Everybody else seemed to like them, so we kept them in. And those are very, very special parts of the book to me now. And I hope people like them. And the preaching comes in this. What you made me think of, Tara, is the idea that, a lot of people think that to write, you have to know what you think. And I say it's just the opposite. And I say this in the book. Writing is to figure out what you think.
Thinking.
Yeah,
Exactly.
what you're thinking. And that's what I tell my students too, is we write not because we know what we think, but to figure out what we think and to clarify our thoughts. And as you said, then you bring it to the team and then they do the sculpting. But everybody deserves that moment, that time, that mindful practice of being able to clarify your thoughts in writing. Maybe it's, and I use this example a couple times in the book, maybe it's, that letter we put in the Christmas card about the family update, that's writing. Maybe it's a blog or the journaling that you do, that's writing. You don't have to publish to be a writer. You don't have to, be Stephen King or Danielle Steele, whoever that is, to, be a writer. You can just write stuff down. And these days you can start a blog just to put your poetry on it, which I've done several times. And maybe nobody sees it. Maybe somebody runs across it. You can just write stuff in a journal and keep it in a drawer. We're with my seniors, we're doing 1984 right now, where Winston Smith is literally hiding to write in his diary, because if they find out that he's writing in his diary, he will be executed or do 25 years in hard labor. And guess what? We get to do it anytime we want.
Yes, for free.
For free. Just to see what happens when we push nouns and verbs together. And to me, that's worth the price of admission. That is a magical process where we just get to explore our thoughts, explore the world, observe what's going on. I'm looking out the window now. People watch, do character sketches, write a haiku about the sunset. Oh, see, I'm getting so fired up now, Tara, because writing is a gift. Writing is a gift. Writing is a gift.
It's such a gift. And, the more we can express that to our learners, I mean, I know, I'm just like, amen. I'm the amen.
Yeah, exactly.
The more we can express that to our learners and make it a place where writing is a part of our, a part of the classroom culture. It's a part of what we do.
It's what we do.
And make it feel harmless, right? Make it feel and not intimidating, make it feel welcoming. And make it feel like you belong as a writer.
Everybody belongs
can
as a writer.
do that. Yeah. Yes. And I loved one of my favorite pieces of what you just said was that we don't have to figure out all our thoughts and then write. We write to figure out our thoughts. And that, that is why journaling is so important to me, because my mind is, I take medication because it goes 90 to nothing. I have to be able to focus. And so the other piece of that is I write, because I can't even figure it out sometimes. I can't figure out all the things that I'm thinking about. And there are so many times I just have to go into coaching mode and coach the coach, literally coach myself.
Yes.
I'm writing all these things down. I'm going back and I'm looking at it and I'm highlighting oh, maybe I was thinking this because of this.
Yeah.
Well, that's an assumption.
Making connections.
On an assumption. I don't need to dwell on an assumption. I need to figure that out if that's true or not, or do I even care if that's true or not? Do I just need to wipe that out of my mind? It's constantly. That's what I'm doing all the time in my journal. And I think a lot of times if humans understood how passionate we are about writing, that they too would be able to feel this level of Zen that you talk about, Zen in the pen. And I'm just so excited about this book. And I'm really excited that I'm hoping people will pick it up and they're like, I'm not a writer. And then before you know it,
Yeah.
they are a writer.
Before you know it. Yeah. And let's talk about the mindfulness piece a little bit,
Yes,
because again,
please.
I chose to publish, but again, you don't have to publish your writing. But if you go out and you notice the world, or you people watch, which I know a lot of people like to do, they don't think about that as mindfulness, but it is. If you just look at the trees, if you're in the mountains, if you're down by the beach, and you just write down what you see. Some people draw, some people sketch. I didn't have those skills. So I learned to create the word picture, right?
Yeah,
If you do that, you're just exploring the world. You're being mindful in the world, and nobody ever has to see what you write.
it's
But
true.
what a gift, again, that snapshot, that word picture that you get to take home and go, oh, that's right. That's what it was like to see that person. That's what it was like to look at that tree. That's what it was like to be at the beach. That's a gift you give yourself.
So true. And I love that too, because, maybe the world doesn't get to see that
Mhm.
piece that you're talking about, particularly right now, but it is like a little time capsule for you, right?
Absolutely.
It's something you can go back and you can look on, and maybe you're not appreciating nature. Maybe at that moment you're so cluttered with so much
Mhm.
busyness of life. Christmas season's coming up, all these things coming up. It's like super busy, hustle bustle. And you go back and read that piece and you're like, you feel that sense of it was a moment that you
Mhm.
anchored in writing, and you're
Mhm.
able to revisit it.
You get
And
to go back.
you said that a little bit earlier about your book. You said both the books, you wanted all this in one place. So
Mhm.
you could actually go back and revisit it
Oh,
sometimes
100%.
yourself.
100%.
And I
There were
think a lot of
stories in here. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to
oh
interrupt.
no, you go
I
ahead.
get so wound up.
Go
There were
for it.
stories in here that I had never committed to writing before. And there's a doggie. Hey,
That is
doggie.
her surprise
Um,
visit.
but I wrote them down in the diary entries here, and now I have a record of them. And
Yes.
that was my gift to me
Yes.
in doing this. And like I said, I kind of half expected them to be pulled out before the book came out, but they weren't.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they wouldn't be for DVC. We love all that personal stuff.
Well, I hope
That
people
helps.
get insight into me. I hope they
Mhm.
get to see why writing was important to me, and the steps that I took. I go into detail about how absolutely crappy one of my first short stories was. I give examples because I have this giant footlocker in my classroom that has everything I've ever written, including that crappy short story that I wrote on my aunt's manual typewriter in 1970
Love
something.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. But that's the beauty of it, right? And people have talked about this too with blogs, how,
Mhm.
once you start and it's a live link, so you could go back and edit
Yes.
technically, right?
Yes.
But I love not, because I love seeing growth over time.
Yes.
It's the same
Absolutely.
with and maybe writing's not your language. One of the things I do this with that's not writing is Instagram. I
Mhm.
love just putting like fitness videos on there and seeing growth
Mhm.
over time. And people are like, "Oh, that's not really for me." Well, it's okay. That
Mhm.
Instagram is not really for you anyway. It's for me. It's just a
Totally.
place. It's a place
Totally.
for me to document stuff, and I love
Yeah.
being able to see how far I've grown.
Yeah. Now, Tara, don't faint, because I'm gonna use an exercise metaphor here.
Oh,
When I was doing, when I started Instagram, I had the same question. I was like, "Is this where we put finished pieces, or is it," and the
work in
blog would be the same thing, "or is
yeah.
it where we put our best pieces?" In other words, is it a gym or a museum? Is this where I
Mhm.
work out, or is it where I hang the paintings? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think each person needs to make that decision for themselves and
Mhm.
decide, okay,
Good.
like you said, I'm just going to document, or I'm going to make this the place where all the good stuff goes. And I've done both.
Yeah.
And you just have to decide. And in some ways, this book was both too.
I think a blend is always best, right?
Mhm.
Because there's moments where we're so proud of something, we wanna share that, and it's a
Right.
gold piece, like, it would be
Right.
hanging in the museum, but
Yeah.
most of life is probably spent in the gym, right? In
Not
general.
mine, but I get what you're saying.
Well, the gym, the
The
metaphor
the
gym,
working up. Yes, yes, yes.
working out.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you remind me too, the other thing is, you talked about your mind going so fast and everything, and I tease about the gym and working out and stuff like that. But, you know, uh, I say in the book that after actual therapy, writing is my therapy. you know.
Yes,
And
for sure.
so that's another benefit is it's for me, it's very therapeutical that because you get all that stuff out and then it does become that time capsule and you don't have to keep it in. So you have that benefit as well. And then when your thoughts are out and you can calm down a little bit because
Mhm,
you've kind of exorcised and exercised both of them,
mhm. Both.
those feelings, those thoughts, and then they get to be someplace else.
Did you mention that in the book, how after therapy you write?
Well, I just meant that I guess I should have said in addition to therapy,
Well, yeah,
writing
I
is my
like to do it
therapy.
right after therapy. In fact, I'm
Oh,
kind of
I'm
a
too
little
afraid to do that.
uh,
That
e
would be
I like it because my mind is so clear.
that's very true.
It's
That's very true.
it's it's
I
a
have
way different
sometimes.
piece of writing. You
Yeah.
can always tell in my journal when I've had
Uh-huh.
therapy. Well, now
Yeah.
I'm at once a month. So when I've had therapy that month and I write
Mhm.
right after, it is
Yeah.
like such a clear piece of
Yeah.
not chaos. Like
Right.
typically in
Right.
my journal it's just sporadic. And I feel
Yeah.
like I can almost write, I love writing song lyrics. And
Oh,
right after therapy, I can typically write a really like a decent set that I can
sure.
work with,
Yeah.
there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just you said that and I was like, "Ooh, that's good." And I
Yeah.
also like right after therapy, this is random, but we're talking Zen.
Mhm.
I try not to schedule anything that's going to cause any kind of conflict afterward.
I think
Like
that's a good call. Yeah.
it's like I
Yeah.
just want to have that peace of mind
Yes.
for like a few hours.
Why not? Why not? Absolutely. Give your
Yeah.
I call those in the Zen teacher and sanctuaries, I call those margins. You give
Yes.
yourself that margin just to exist before you have to go into the thing. And to go back to what you said before, um, I think that makes perfect sense because there are two chapters in the book called precision and clarity. And I always tell my students that those are the two most important things in writing is being precise, saying exactly what you mean, and being clear, saying it the most clear that you can. So of
Mhm.
course it makes sense that after you've organized some of your thoughts, you have precision and clarity.
It's true. Oh, so good. Well, everybody needs to go pick up this book. I know that. We have had the best and most
It was
fun
a
book
great chat.
launch. It has been so fun to watch so many people say, "Oh my goodness, this is so for me." And then others say,
Oh,
"I don't know. I'm not really a writer. Should I pick this up?" And I'm like, "Yes, you should."
yeah.
You
You'll learn
should
something.
pick it up because, even if you say, well, just a few months ago, I said I wasn't a runner, right? I just ran a half marathon. Like there's so many things in life that I think we box ourselves out of. We're like, ooh,
Yes.
that's not me. Yep, that's not me. But is it, or is it just something you haven't really discovered a different perspective upon, like to change your mind about, or you
You're
haven't
trying to
even
get me to
looked at it
work
from
out,
that.
aren't you?
I'm not
Yeah.
going there. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
We're staying
I'll
zen.
I'll think about it.
We're staying zen in the pin right now.
That's
But
right.
but I do think that life's too short to box ourselves out of things. And if
Yes.
you know that this has brought peace and calming to some,
Oh,
and you need that in your life, why not? Why not try
yeah.
it? Why not pick up the
Right.
book and see if there's some ideas in here
Yeah.
that could really help you? And this is something you can do at home. You don't need
Mhm.
money. You don't need to go
No,
pay anybody to
no.
write.
Don't even need a computer.
You don't need a computer. You just need a writing utensil and some
Yes.
paper.
Oh, and I
Um,
should mention that each section has assignments if you're not sure what to write. It has
there you go.
prompts that says, "Try this,
Get started
write
and
about
getting
this."
started and see if that's the way that you enjoy sharing. And if
Right.
as Dan said earlier, you're like, nope, that's not for me, then by all means, there's another way
Uh,
of communicating for
yes.
sure. But check it out. And even if it's not for you, it could be for one of your students. And the
Mhm.
ideas inside here could really help some of your students to feel that peace and that calming when they're
Yeah.
looking for strategies, but maybe they can't afford therapy. Maybe they can't
Yes.
do some of these other things or have these other resources available to them. Writing is an awesome tool. So
Mhm.
pick up right here, right now, Zen in the Pin by Dan Tricarico. You will not regret it. And Dan, if they want to connect with you on social media because they're reading this and they're loving it, or their students have
Oh,
taken some of the ideas and they're
yeah.
thriving now, how can they connect with you?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna say please do. I always love hearing from people. I am on, well, first of all, you can go to my website, thezenteacher.com. I'm on Instagram at Zen Teacher, at Zen Teacher. Twitter is at the Zen Teacher. I'm all over the place. I was experimenting for TikTok for a while, and then I got a little bored with it. So there's all kinds of places. You can email me at teachingzen@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from everybody. So just reach out if you get the book, or if you're reading Sanctuaries or Zen Teacher, or you just want to chat, reach out.
For sure, for sure. And it was Twitter that's the Zen Teacher, correct?
Yes. On Instagram, it's just @Zen Teacher. I guess the was taken.
There we go. And
Oh,
then,
look at that. Yeah, you're putting it all up on the screen.
I am. I'm getting it up there for you guys. And especially for those that watch the playback, since our comments aren't working, I want to make sure everybody can see them.
And I'll go back and check on those and interact with those at some point too.
They may not even be able to put them out there. I think that's
okay. I just thought you meant we couldn't see them, but yeah.
That could be the case. If you have them out there, we'll go comment it later. But if you're not able to put them out there, sorry about that. We will, StreamYard is working hard on that. They did leave us a sweet little email. But thank you so much for joining us for the Right Here, Right Now book birthday. Dan, you are outstanding. We love having you in the DBC family. And your work is always amazing.
Thank you, Tara.
So exciting. Well, happy book birthday, my friend. And all of you out there, if you want to check out Right Here, Right Now, I'm going to drop that link down below. And also it is above and below this video, depending on where you are watching it. So you should be able to find it all over the place. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to myself, to Dan, to Dave, to DBC Inc. We will push you in the right direction. You will be seeing a little bit of Dan over the next couple of weeks and different platforms here at DBC Inc. to share more about the Right Here, Right Now message. So be sure and check those out too. And we just love to hear your comments. So thanks again. Happy book birthday.
Thank you, Tara. Thanks for all your help too. I appreciate it.
Of course. Bye, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful night.